centered around love, humility, forgiveness, righteousness. So the Greek word for keep is tire, which means to guard, to hold fast, to preserve, not just follow, but treasure and protect. So keep, we want to protect obedience because that is showing God how much we love him. And I'm gonna get a little bit more into that later. But also Jesus gives us two directives in Matthew 22:36 through 40. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. I think this also displays love too, but we must be obedient to these two things because this is the directive that Christ has given us to do. So I just wanted to break down those scriptures just to kind of give some backstory and insight about what we're going to be speaking about today. But one thing I would like to do, I like to give testimonies about what I've experienced and what I'm teaching about because I feel like that's the best way we can always give, I guess, clarity to what we're talking about. So I know prior times I've always spoken about how God has delivered me and saved me, really saved my life, and me going through a season of sickness, and He really did some things, and there were phases of what He did, like from really just saving my life, bringing me back to life, but also getting me to a place where I'm recovering, but also there's a post recovery. So as this part, I'm going through like therapy, physical therapy, and again, if you haven't heard my testimony, I've spoken about it before. But I'm getting back to physical therapy, getting back to my body in full bill of health. But in this season, God had gave me a word which was consistency, and that was just one word He gave me, and He said it loud and clear: consistency. So that word I had to be very obedient to. And as I'm listening to what God is saying, He's telling me you need to get up early. I need you to be in my word before everybody awakes. I need you to be consistently worshiping me. These are the things He's giving me. He's healing my body in the process, but also at the same time, He's giving me directives of what I need to do for being obedient in this season because He's preparing me for something. I don't know what's coming next, but He's preparing me for something. And as I'm preparing and going through this process, I'm like, God, I don't know what it is you're doing, but I trust you in this moment. I trust you in this season. But little did I know that it was going to be a lot more that was coming afterwards, even though I'm going through this healing process. So, one of the biggest things is I had to ask God for forgiveness because I'm going through this healing process. I'm going through this preparation. I had to ask God for like, why are you saving me? Why did you save my life? Why did you get me to this place where I'm here? So I'm going through this whole process, but the one thing that keeps ringing in my head, consistency. So every day I'm getting up at a certain time in the morning. I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm going before God and just being obedient as much as I can, but not knowing that I was going to go through some trials with my children, not knowing that I was going to go through some trials with financial situations, not knowing that I was going to go through some trials with work, not knowing I was going to go through trials for my business. But because of my obedience through all of that, because He prepared me in that season of recovery, but my obedience through all of that allowed me to overcome all these things, but also I saw the victory on the other side, if that makes sense. So what I mean is that was back in 2022. I didn't see I didn't see the promise until starting 2025. But I'm going to get into some things to where there were some delays in that process because of stuff that I did. I'm not saying I did it perfect the whole way, but there were some things during that process that delayed it. So how did this correlates how it correlates obedience during preparation? How does this all correlate together? Why is this important? I'm gonna give you three ideas and three main topics of why this is important. One, preparation is the test of love through obedience, right? In times of preparation, God often gives instructions, directions, or even silence. I know that's happened to me before. I know it's probably happened to you too, where you like, okay, God, what are you saying? He's not saying anything. He wants you to be obedient to the thing he's probably told you prior to. And we sometimes forget that. Next one, true love. True love for God is shown by obeying even when the results aren't immediate. Just kind of like Noah when he was building the ark and David serving Saul. Preparation seasons refine our obedience without applause. So this is the thing. A lot of times when we're going through that season of obedience and we prepping for it, when you truly locked in, you're not even worried about if for the hand claps or the handouts or any of that because you want to get it done, right? So number two, obedience positions you for the promise. Obedience during preparation is not optional. This is something it has to be consistent every day that you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you go to work, when you're dealing with people. It is not optional. It is the pathway to being trusted with more. And that's what I realized what God was doing. He was expanding my territory, but the expansion of my territory was through obedience. So Jesus said, he that is faithful in which is least is faithful also in much. That's Luke 16:10. But one thing I had to learn during my, I would say, 3 year journey of preparation. Sometimes when we do it, well, we don't do it right away. What is that? Delayed obedience is still disobedience. So there were times of disobedience because I didn't do it right away, even though I did do it, but I didn't do it right away. So that caused delay. So preparation demands timely alignment with God's instructions. So you have to ask yourself, the times when you know God spoke to you and said, "Hey, I need you to do something. I need you to be in position right here. I need you to do this right here, right now." But you didn't act on it because of fear or doubt or worry or any of those things. That's still disobedience. That even though you did it, delayed obedience is still disobedience. And I had to understand that now because I'm understanding, like, God, why these things not happening? Why these things not moving? Because I'm a person that likes to be prompt, likes to have things in order. And so God is saying, hey, there's some things I need you to go back and look at. That's why he was preparing me through this season, getting me to get up in the morning, learn how to worship, how to do all these things all over again, because I need you to prepare for these things, a season that I'm getting ready to take you. So that is number two. Number three is obedience protects the process. And I understand that. Keeping his commandments like prayer, like I was talking about earlier, love, forgiveness, integrity, stewardship. But I'm gonna go back to integrity. Integrity is a big thing because that's when you're doing things and people not can't see what you're doing. Are you still gonna hold integrity when you're trying to do it the right way? Right? But what that does, it guards your heart. It keeps you in alignment, right? And during the season of preparation. But this a thing, disobedience, it introduces delay, which I talked about earlier, distraction, and detours. So when you start to experience the delay, when you start to experience distraction, when you start to experience the detours, you have to, first thing you should look at, okay, am I being disobedient somewhere? What am I doing? Like doing a self check to make sure that you're in alignment to what you're supposed to be doing, right? So kind of like the Israelites, they were in the wilderness for what, 40 years, right? But their lack of obedience turned their short journey into a 40-year delay. Just think about that. It was supposed to be a short journey that turned into a 40-year delay because of one thing, the lack of obedience, right? That's why it's so important. And that's why it's kind of correlate. Obedience is correlating to love. So if you're obedient, God saying you love me, you're gonna do what I ask you to do. So one thing I do want to just trying to give a main idea and just kind of tie all this in together, right? We understand that delayed obedience is disobedience. We understand that obedience is love, is a love language to God. So John 14:15 reminds us that obedience is a true language of love. In the hidden places of preparation when no one is watching, God is looking for those who honor him by keeping his word. So, what is his word? Jesus told us in Matthew 22:36 through 40, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Love isn't just declared, it is proven in the fire of preparation by doing what he asks, even when it's hard, unclear, or lonely. Just kind of like I stated earlier, like it really resonated with me with Kelly in his transparency of he fallen short and he didn't want to do it, but he still said, I'm going to be a steward of what God has given me and present the word this morning, even if it hurts, even if it's hard, even if it's unclear, even if I don't feel like it. But because he pressed through, I know there is a breakthrough on the other side for him. And that's what we have to look at when we get into these moments of it gets hard or situations that kind of distracts us. We have to look at, okay, is there any kind of disobedience that I'm exuding in right now that's causing the delay? And sometimes even the delay, even if we are obedient, sometimes God causes delay for our protection too. So I don't want to get that mixed up because that does happen because he wants to keep us protected in some certain situations. So again, I'm going to ask you this question. How much do you love God? And yes, your obedience is tied to how much you love God. It says love God with all your heart, right? Let's kind of add obedience to that. Love God with all your heart and be obedient as God called and asked you to be obedient. And then love your neighbor as yourself. So it's 6:50. This is all I have for you all today. I hope this blessed you as much as it blessed me. Um, I don't think I don't take none of this lightly for the opportunity that God has given me to speak to you all, but also, Doc A and Doc C giving me the opportunity to speak to you all as well. So I pray that as you all go into your work day today, whatever you're going to do today, just think about that in your preparation right now. Is there disobedience that is causing delay? But if you are obedient and you're doing everything, trust me, everything that you've been asking for and believing for will be released in the appropriate season that God has ordained for you to have it. I guarantee it. I'm a living testimony of it, and I believe this wholeheartedly. So I pray you all have a great Wednesday. This is all I have for you all today, and I will see you all next time.
Blessings to you, Eric. Have a great day. Blessings,
Yes,
family.
sir.
Have an awesome
Thank you.
Wednesday.